Sherry Schreiner. A couple things I want to talk about today, Kind of want to pick up where I left off Wednesday. Because this is where the Father has me right now. Let's see. I've noticed lately he's been pointing people out to me that have just out of the blue changed. You know somebody by the name Danny, and now he wants to be called by his legal name, which is Mr. Williams. Or someone you used to talk and get along with is now wearing sunglasses and standing 20 feet away from you, doesn't want near you. Just changes in people's behavior. And this is what's becoming more noticeable, because when people get taken over by entities, most people just don't recognize it for what it is. It's once you learn it, you know it. It's just recognizing it and then deciding, yeah, I know this. I get this now. Because there's so many in our world now. Only 1 out of every 4 people is human, pure human DNA, or just mostly dominant human DNA. That means in a world of about 8 billion, 2 billion are normal. In America, we have 300 million Americans. That means about 75 million are actually normal. When I asked the Father about it, I was talking to him about America and asked him how many Christians are in America. And he said 7 million. 7 million Christians out of 300 million. And that's not the ones who he's going to take. That's 7 million that claim they're Christians that might be halfway there. How many times do you see people on TV? They always love God when somebody dies. They're always in churches and funerals. And then during the week, they just live like hellions. But on Sundays, they be there praising Jesus. And then live like the devil the rest of the week. So we have a real problem with those who are actually the fathers. Those who do what he says. Those who follow him. Because if you're going to church on Sunday, that's probably a good indication you're not. Because Sabbath is Saturday. 7th day has never been changed by the Father. And it means you're probably pretty much resistant to the truth because apostates don't like the truth. How mind-controlled are you? Most Christians in America are very mind-controlled, religious mind-controlled, because you can't give them the truth. They fight it. They fight against you. Oh, and by the way, the Father doesn't refer to his people as Christians. It was just I don't know what that has, if that has any weight to it, but he knows what I'm talking about. But he doesn't refer to his people as Christians. That's a term given, and that's because it's such a loosely wide term. People call themselves Christians, and they don't do the things he says to do. Just because you consider yourself a Christian doesn't qualify you for the kingdom of heaven. Did he say that the way is narrow? Anyway, folks, it's not. I want to break down because there is such a huge takeover, and I was screaming about it last year, and we were watching all the celebrities get cloned and soul scalped, and everybody on TV that you saw was cloned and soul scalped. All the Illuminati. Everyone who's on TV has to sign the dotted line, sell their soul to Satan, and they're immediately getting soul scalped. But it's all the way down to the local levels, because if you look at secret societies that run the world, and especially America, the Freemasons are probably the biggest. There's probably, several million in the country, if not more. It's a boys' club, and whatever numbers you get from them, you could take with a grain of salt. But you have the secret societies of Freemasonry and all the others enveloped under that one. You have the Eastern Star for the women. What's alarming me is the women. I think that's the biggest thing that's alarming me the most. Because usually when you think of violence and Satanism and grotesque things, the guys just kind of run away with that. But I've noticed a huge switch this past year in that a lot of women have vampire demons. They have vampire spirits. Now, I have a gift where I can detect a person's spirit. It's not like I don't see an aura over. Some people see auras. I don't see auras. But what I can do is discern your spirit. And I certainly can discern a vampire spirit because it's one of the weirdest ones out there. I don't even know how to describe it. But there's no mistaking it. It's just dead. It's like that, it's a demonic spirit. And this one is alarmingly taking over just millions of women because they're involved with Eastern Star, which most local communities want to pass off as just a good works organization like the Masons. They all want to pass that off as good works organizations, and they do fundraisers and stuff. Well, it's part of the Satanic Creed that all of these offshoots of Satanism and the Masons and Eastern Stars are offshoots is to be upstanding members in their communities. You're required to be an upstanding member of your community. And this covers a lot because if someone ever says, Joe and Joe's involved with this, I saw him doing this and this, people would rail against you and not believe what you're saying because he's such an upstanding member of the community. It hides a lot of sins, don't you think? It's a good cover. Oh, they'd never be involved with child porn or pedophilia. They're upstanding members of the community. They do good works. They're all a bunch of slime bags. So, also witchcraft, white or black. You ever run into a witch? I'm a white witch. I'm a good witch. There's no such thing as a good witch. It's like saying there's a good alien. Witchcraft, white or black. MTV has all these shows out about how cool it is to be a vampire or how cool it is to be a witch. Now these little high school girls are falling into that. Cubans, Mexicans, Africans, Islanders, they got a huge problem because they're all involved in voodoo, Santeria, you got Hinduism, Buddhism. New Agers have their source. They always call God the source, going back to the source. It's like a cloning term. They also refer to him as Mother, Father, Mother Nature, Nature, Spirit. God is more like a spirit than a being. Yahuwah is his name. It's the name above all names, Yahuwah. Their God is not the God. It's the Most High God. Because they treat him like he's an impersonal being. Like he's a light, just a source of light or something. It's very odd, an abstract energy source. And a lot of Cubans are involved in voodoo. I don't know what it is. Mexicans the same way. Mexicans seem to adopt cultic things. There's some kind of big cult growing up in amongst the Mexicans. I don't even remember the name of it. Something new coming up through them. In America, it just seems like agnosticism's taking over. Agnosticism is, if there's a God, I don't care. Because most people are just living their lives without any thought or focus on the Most High God, pretty much like Europe. Europe's a toilet bowl. When I asked the Father where the bulk of his believers are, he told me they were in America and Australia. America and Australia have the majority of believers. There's more Christians, believers, just in Australia than there is all of Europe. Now, what surprised me was Russia wasn't mentioned. Because if you're paying attention to the news and Putin, Vladimir Putin, it just sounds like Russia's going back to its roots. They've got the Orthodox Church in Russia. He seems so much moral and ethical than Obama ever did, or Hillary, half the presidents of the United States. And they genuinely look like they're trying to take care of their people. Let me tell you, Vladimir Putin, I know a lot of Americans like him, but it's because of the image that the media is portraying. Vladimir Putin was cloned, and when he was cloned, his wife rejected the clone. She said, "That's a clone, that's not my husband." And it went worldwide because, it was the same as Saddam Hussein. Remember when he was cloned and his wife, and he came over to America for trial? That was a joke. That was a clone. And his own wife said that was a clone. She dismissed him. And Putin's the same way. His wife's dismissed him as a clone. Vladimir Putin, Vladimir comes from Vlad, which is Dracula. And Dracula is Lucifer in his fallen form on Earth. That's what Dracula represents, Lucifer in his fallen form. In French, the name Putin means son of a bitch. A child born out of wedlock was called a son of a bitch. In America, they're called bastards. Putin is Lucifer's offspring, his illegitimate offspring on Earth. And that's where that all comes from. Putin is Lucifer's son on Earth. Vladimir Putin. So that's who Putin is, or what he is. So we're in a crisis. America's in a crisis right now. We're in a crisis. We've been in one for a long time, but people wouldn't recognize it. People were just waking up. But now you can't. There's no excuse. There's no excuse to even try to escape it. You can go to YouTube and watch videos all day long about shape-shifting humans, or reptilian humans, or cloned humans, or assigning your soul to the devil. All this stuff is being revealed. All this stuff, there's just tons of videos. You can watch them all day long on YouTube. And the thing with all of that is they've all been soul scalped. They've all been taken over. You're looking at 225 million people in America that have tainted human DNA, which means the bulk of them, the majority, are crossbreeds. They're half alien, half human. I'm not talking about contaminated bloodlines where somewhere in your family line you got contaminated blood in it, which is what they call junk DNA. It's actual, we don't know what the heck DNA this is. It's alien DNA. So they call it junk DNA. I'm talking third-party DNA introduced into the mixture of mom, dad, alien. They call it three-party DNA. And even blatantly, just 50-50, half alien, half human. Then you have the replacements, the real humans, which I told you last year was being done. The real humans are being taken off Earth and killed in these fun centers, that they call them fun centers, and then replaced on Earth with fakes, so people didn't know there was such a massive abduction of humans everywhere that they were being taken off and killed for the sport and food. That's why they do it. They like to eat them. They like to kill them. The Illuminati, and when I say this, what I'm talking about is the Queen and the royal lizard family, and the Bushes and the Clintons and the people at the top there at the 1% level. And when they say 1%, folks, you better believe there's about 19% behind them, because it's actually about 20% outright Satanists in this country. The 1% is just the top of them. The rich ones, the ones who got rich for it. There's a lot of Satanists who aren't rich. But they like to have human hunting parties. And that's how William met Kate, because her father was a director. He has the facilities, whatever, and they host human hunting parties. And that's how William met Kate. They have them in America. They have them at Cheney's Ranch in Wyoming. And there's also a ranch in North Carolina. And there's one in Texas. Human hunting parties where they abduct humans. They throw them on these ranches. And then the hunters go looking for them to kill them. I don't even know why I bring that up. But then you have the outright soul scalp, those who get a serpent shoved down their throat, or the reptilian quill is inserted into the back of their eye. How many people have you seen with one eye just looking a little bit different than the other one? Like one's on NyQuil and one's on DayQuil. A lot of the eye deformities coming out of this because they take the eyeball out and stick a chip in the back of it, or caused by the parasite quill itself getting into the person's eye. And I've been talking about how they shove serpents down people's throats. Was that what Madonna did to Drake on live stage? That long kiss she gave Drake, and he just looked like he was disgusted, like he was gagging on something. Was she putting a serpent in his mouth? That's what they do, folks. I have an article on scalping, soul scalping. I did a video on it based on the article and how they do it, soul scalping. America's in a crisis. 75 million are normal. So if society starts to act like it's weirding out and whacking and getting more violent, this is one of the reasons it's getting a lot more violent. A lot of replacement going on. Switching out real humans with fakes. Because they can't just kill off a population. It raises too much awareness. So what they do is switch and replace. Switch out real humans with fake ones. That's what they've been doing in the Arabs, in India, and China for years. That's where they started it in the Middle East. That's why they're just not like us. They're not like us. Most of them aren't human. They're just odd. They're just creatures in human bodies. You might think it's because of the crossbreeding. And they've got worse problems than just being half alien, half demon. That's what crossbreeding is. That's a half-breed. That's hybridization. A lot of them are clones because I was told by the government a long time ago, a couple of years ago, probably back in 2011, a reason a lot of the Indian women and Middle Eastern women cover up their arms, in particular their wrists and the back of their necks, is so you can't see the numbers. Because the clones were given numbers. They were from a series of clones. They would put their numbers on them. They were doing it to the women. That's why they were hiding them and keeping them hidden away. And I ask yourself why they're so strict on the women staying home, being under control, so they can hide their little secrets. That these women aren't even real. That they switched out with fakes and clones, and the real ones were killed. So their little secrets don't get out. That's why they treat women like garbage. The world is in a crisis, not just America. But all this is coming to a head because we're heading into the tribulation period, folks. We're just inches away from a complete pole flip, 7-day pole flip I've been talking about. I've been keeping track of the sunsets every night. If it's over any more degrees, I think it's 5 degrees, we're gone. The pole flip will happen. It's 5 degrees or less. And that could speed up, or it could just slow down. I don't think it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. I'm thinking it's imminent. August, September, October at the back door, the latest. A lot of people are asking me, well, if I'm homeless, what do I do? You know, go to a basement of a parking garage. You need protection from wind. High winds is going to be a real problem. And a lot of people are stuck in cities. People who aren't, you're in woods, dig out a cave, dig out a trench. Start digging. Anyway, the show is over. I will be back Monday night. I'll see what the Father has to say then. Till then, folks, you can go to my website, SherryShriner.com. Click on the donate page and support the best ministry on the planet. Till next week, everybody. God bless.